Welcome to The Culture. We rest at the pulse of the community, providing all things news, music, fashion, events, and everything that we talk about in between. It's a lifestyle. We are The Culture. Hi, and welcome to The Culture. I'm your host, Jessica Garrett Motkins, and joining us today is Ceelo Green, recording artist, producer, author, and so much more, worldwide entertainer. Welcome to the show, Ceelo.
Thank you for having me, my queen. Happy holidays.
Yes, happy holidays. I'm just so excited to have you here. The culture appreciates you taking time out to chop it up with us. How are things going this new year, and how have you been living within COVID?
God is good and life is fair, I believe. So I have very few complaints. I think I got about two or three complaints, but you can't complain about two or three now, can you?
No, no,
Yeah,
you can't.
yeah, definitely. It's one of those situations of where someone's doing better, somebody's doing worse. So I'm right there in the middle. You can't complain about the middle.
No complaints. So it's a new year. Some people set goals, other people set resolutions. Where are you in that? And what do you have planned for yourself for 2022?
We were just having this conversation the other evening, and I have many multiple things, endeavors, aspirations, um, industrially and otherwise, that I would like to accomplish, within the window, in a timely fashion. So it's just about the adamancy, actualizing and executing, properly, So it's about plan and procedure and process and trusting that process, a willingness to be open, and also expressing it, an advocation for those near and dear to you. You know what I mean? So you can have that support system as well,
So
and
you
those accountability partners. Yeah.
right. You talked about almost manifestation, actualizing things into existence. Do you find yourself doing anything on a daily basis to ensure that you are staying focused? I mean, you've been in this game for 30 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And at 30 years, 3 decades, not many can say that. So
True.
there's something that you're doing right that has to supersede you. What is it?
Um, I'm a very positive and optimistic person. I guess we all would have our ritual. You know what I mean? Some people, without the spiritual context, it's a routine. Or in even worse case scenarios, it's redundancy. But ritual, has intention and there's a deliberacy. And there's a humility and there's an acknowledgement of something greater than yourself, and you're just seizing that opportunity. As well as that opportunity being, in my personal opinion, a living, breathing organism that has to acknowledge you as well. So, that is a mantra of mine, finding a quiet space to be prayerful and meditate and to think, wish, and hope and manifest, and then ultimately boots to the ground and do the diligence and actually do the work and the heavy lifting, And I believe that there is no guarantee besides repetition, you know what I mean? So you have to be repetitive and perpetual, you know what I mean? As a progressive forward motion, and just be consistent and commit yourself, and there is some uh, guarantee, to the repetitive action. I think the future will favor those who are brave, what I mean, and those who are committed.
Awesome. Awesome. I think that I was scrolling through Instagram and I saw something that you've been committed to for a minute manifest itself in your face. Tell us about your walk in the park in Miami. What happened?
Okay, well, And what was special about it is I did that donation of clothing. Okay, so what we're referencing is a post that I put up earlier today. I bumped into a gentleman. I didn't disturb him. I just got his attention, and I took a photograph of him. And what happened was I donated some clothes as I typically do. Now, what's very superficial and honestly it's a little bit wasteful about our industry, there's this notion that you can't wear something but once, and I do get it, if you get photographed in it or, it's for an event in particular, a red carpet, step and repeat, yeah, you know what I mean? And so I've been advised to archive certain things that are significant to that time and to that place and time, So I have storages of wardrobe and then also, um, you know, a lot of domestic clothing, because I've lived on the West Coast, I lived in Miami, lived in Atlanta, you know what I mean? And so you kind of want the convenience of not having to overpack, check baggage. So I've got the same black Nike jogging suit about 5 or 6 times. You know what I mean? I've got 10 of the same things sometimes. So it's ridiculous when I think about it. And so um, I'm very philanthropist, you know what I mean? Like in my own right, there are some who, can afford to do more than me, but I do what I definitely can. And yeah, it was really cool because this was about a week or so ago that I made the donation. And today we just happened to walk past the gentleman wearing one of the donated items. And it was just really touching for me, especially, in this season of giving, cheerful giving, and yeah, so it was sweet.
I
Sorry.
can imagine because, things that you do in life, you do them and you're not necessarily looking for anything in return. But
No,
to see when you do something, an act of kindness, something that, as you said, that you do because you have all of these things to give, but to see it in your face and to see someone using it, I'm getting chills. Other people may not really get it, but to me, that stood out as like a message to you to say, keep going, keep
it,
doing what you do. It matters.
it was
It
a
matters.
it was a beautiful moment because I wore that outfit on a performance here, and I always mispronounce it, Miramar.
Oh, Miramar, yes.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
um,
that was when you were with Erica,
yeah,
right?
yep. Goody Mob and Erica Badu, and yeah, so it's been my thinking, to just kind of like if it's signified by performance, put it away. You know what I mean? And so it's just and I it gets the line gets blurred on whether I'm being practical in that way or hoarding. You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? Essentially, and it's just like it's not necessary. And then on top of that, it's almost as if the irony is the more you are perceived to have, the more people want to give you stuff. So like, I've got I've got stuff I have. I've got too much stuff. It's ridiculous. God has been very good to me. You know what I mean? Like, uh, and so have the people. So yeah, I want to give it back in whatever way that I can.
well, that was an awesome experience. Thank you for sharing it with us. But please don't forget, you do have to put away those significant pieces because there will be that time when those things will need to be archived in a museum. The Ceelo Award.
You know what? I felt that because I was doing a Vegas residency. CeeLo Green is Loberace, and the Loberace estate invited me over to his museum, and they were actually closing down, and so a lot of his stuff was, kind of compiled together. But this small team of people have made it their business, you know what I mean, to archive and preserve, his wardrobe, cars, sheet music, instruments, photographs, furniture. And it was just amazing. And so, I would like to believe that some of the things I have done would have appreciated to that point some, some years from now, when it's all said and done, you know. And I don't necessarily have a team that is specified, I mean, like to, or designated to handle that with care. And so, but it's I guess for me, it feels a little vain, you know what I mean? It's like,
I understand
and
that.
it feels a little presumptuous because I'm still such a work in progress. You
Hmm.
know, um, I want to do something greater, more significant, than I may have already done. You know what I mean? And so I still feel like I'm in transit, and I have time to, you know, consider that. But
Hmm.
you're right though. You are right. You're
Yeah.
correct.
Now you wrote this book, um, everyone's everybody's brother,
Yeah.
which, let me tell you, first off, the name is so befitting to you. And for those of you who haven't read it, you can get it anywhere where books are sold. You can even download the audio version on Audible, on Amazon, and listen to it. But Ceelo, that title, you explained what that title meant to you. Tell our viewers so that they can understand why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling about this title.
Well, let me give the credit where it's due. Everybody's brother was the name of a local gospel quartet in Atlanta, Georgia, when I was young and growing up. And even being young, that name spoke to me. And then ultimately, it would resonate in real time as, my reach and response has been so magnificent. You know what I mean? The love and admiration that I've received uh, at home and abroad internationally, it's pretty phenomenal. You know what I mean? And there's something about my character, uh, that connects to so many different walks of life, nationalities, orientations. You know what I mean? Everyone from 8 to 80, and it's really special because I honestly, people think that and I'm genuinely a cool person. I'm genuinely a humble and grounded person. But I think, in context, I think that humility comes from not really even knowing. I don't really necessarily even know what I've done that effectively. You know what I mean? Because all I can recall I've ever intended to do was try to do a lot, trying to compensate for so many things that aren't there anymore. You know what I mean? I want to be young for the young people. I want to be older, for the older audiences. You know what I mean? I just want to be the bridge, you know what I mean, between people, and people can come together over me, because I do happen to be versed, what I mean, like, as far as, music at large. And so it's just that universality, it does speak volumes. And yeah, I mean, it's been so wonderful all over the world to have an elderly woman or an Oriental person, you know what I mean, on an airplane recognize me, and it's the same kind of love. It's the same kind of genuine, pure love and appreciation. I'm almost like, wow, I wish I knew what I did right, you know what I'm saying? So I could continue to do it because I never want to dip below that bar. You know what I mean? I want to meet that standard of and requirement at all times. I mean, because, people just, they impassion me. You know what I mean? I feel purposed, and that's what art is about. That's what expression is about, being heard, being understood, and being embraced. You know what I mean? And there were so many times in my young life where I was misunderstood and I was not invited. You know what I mean? And so some people take on these airs and these facades, and they want to become these characters and for the sake of escapism. You know what I mean? But I don't really have that identity crisis. I didn't get into music, to revel in how different I can be. I wanted to finally say uh, just exactly what it was we had in common, you know? So I wanted to connect with people. So I wanted the opposite of what most aspiring artists tend to think they want or need from industry, you know?
Well, I think that your title, it put out to people, not only are you everyone's brother, but that in reading it, there were so many different situations that you have allowed yourself to be exposed to, that there aren't too many different people on the earth, period, internationally, that you can't find some sort of brotherly kinship with. I mean, you had the ministering parents, you had a grandmother who ended up helping Nancy Reagan. I mean, whose grandmother helps Nancy Reagan? You
True.
sang for the president. You've been on The Voice. You performed on the Oscar on the Grammys with the Muppets. I mean, do you know the vast amount of people? We didn't even talk about Goody Mob. We didn't talk about Greenbrier Mall. I mean, there's so many different subsets that God allowed you to infiltrate to be able to receive what you are receiving right now, and to be able to have those different relationships with people on all of those different levels. It's truly a gift.
It is. It is. I must say, and to give myself a little bit of credit, my life does resemble what's my movie? Oh, this is slipping my. This is my favorite movie of all time.
Who
With,
was it?
with Tom Hanks.
Top Gun?
Not Top Gun.
Oh,
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump?
Yes.
Yes, yes. That
So
was Tom Hanks. That was Tom. I'm thinking of Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's really unique and peculiar, but amazing and extraordinary. Uh, this timeline of events, that have actually taken place. You know what I mean? I come from some very humble beginnings, but I've been so adaptable and mutatable. I mean, like, here, there, everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Wherever I'm at, I am it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, and it's genuine. And so because people receive me very genuinely, you know what I mean? So, and it's true. So it's not an identity crisis or multiple personalities. You know what I mean? But it is very dynamic. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely.
But wait, there's more. Come back next week for more with my interview with Ceelo Green.
The Culture is produced and owned by the Culture Media Group and cannot be reproduced or broadcast without written consent. All rights reserved 2020.